This is the Grapple with Your Eyes Show, episode 65. Dan Lester.
Welcome to the Grapple with Your Eyes Show. My guest today is Dan Lester, a BJJ practitioner from the south of England. Welcome to the show, Dan.
Hello, mate. How's it going? Glad to be here. Absolute pleasure.
Awesome to finally get you on. We've been trying to get our diaries together for a while now and things keep getting in the way, but here we are. Now, it's your first time on the show, so we have our first time question, and that is, where did it all begin for you, sir?
Well, I couldn't sing, couldn't dance, so I thought I should fight as a sort of a backup. All failing that. So my brother, he used to do like kind of box size classes at an MMA gym, but it's like MMA based sort of thing. So I thought I need to get fit again. Like we've seen Never Back Down a few times, so yeah, I'll give that a go, get stuck in, have some fun with that. And after a few, cringy leg kicks and some terrible kettlebell swings, I thought I need to start actually fighting. I gave the classes a go, and I was hopeless. I mean, anyone watching the actual video now, I was blocking punches like the windmill kind of karate style on pure fear alone, no training prior to that. It was quite a cataclysmic, collection of just cringe, really. A lot of C's there, but here we are. But yeah, that was 2014. It was back a while back. That was.
What was it like even getting yourself to go into those sorts of classes? Because a lot of people listening, I mean, I think the biggest regret most people say is they didn't do it sooner. But a lot of people are trying to get off the couch or get themselves back into something, and they're like, "Oh, should I go to that gym or should I give it a go?" Whether it be boxercise or jiu-jitsu or whatever. What was that bit that made you finally get off and give it a go? What advice would you have to people that are sat there going, "Oh, maybe I'm too old now, or maybe I'm too young, or I'm not fit enough, or I'm whatever." We all come up with those excuses when we're trying to think of something initially until we finally got to do it. What advice would you have for those people?
There's a term called paralysis by analysis, where you think too much, you talk yourself out of something. So my thing is more ignorance is bliss, Forrest Gump-esque, run, run, run. I just kept running. So just do things if you wanted to do it, albeit, disclaimer, as long as it's not unethical or immoral or whatever, just do it. Just give it a go. My thing was very much like quite blasé. It wasn't like I had this big, like 12-step program to overcome some fear or anxiety. It was very much I wanted to do it, so I just did it. Very blasé, but very much like not thinking about too much. Wasn't trying to make a big thing out of it. Not thinking I'm going to be in the UFC or bust. It's going to be just I want to give it a try. Full stop. And not some sort of big essay of the hows and whys, the ifs and buts, and positives, negatives kind of thing. Just keep it simple. Keep it simple as possible. Do you want to give it a go? Yes. None of this I have to get fit first. None of this I have to put these obstacles, these prefixes in place of I can't do it because of X or Y or even Z. Just I'll give it a go, see how I go on. Your first draft is more valuable than the first thought. Because if you did it and then something happened or something you didn't like, you can always tweak and adjust. Whereas if you just think about it, it never materializes. If it makes sense?
Definitely. No, wise words, sir. So you're boxercising then. That's one thing. You're doing some questionable kicks and blocks, as you're saying. How does that lead to the jiu-jitsu mat?
Well, I didn't know jiu-jitsu existed. I just thought it was just ground side of MMA, and it's just its own thing. It's just what it is. But then we had a guy called Raphael Buscape who joined our gym as a jiu-jitsu coach. So I thought, okay, it must be like a separate thing, or maybe it's complementing it. I mean, all my knowledge of MMA was purely from the MMA games on the Xbox. So I had no prior like cult following of UFC or anything like that, or Rising or Pride or whatever. It was purely just, oh, I saw this guy Fedor Emeli. I don't know who he is. Not necessarily the greatest in the world. He's just on the game. He must be good. He got really good stats. That kind of ignorance, kind of casual-esque kind of level. So you'd see like triangles and all sorts. I thought, okay, I'd be cool to learn that stuff. Gave that a go. My first thought was, I'm not getting hit. This is wonderful. This is like all the fun stuff without the damage. I thought, this is a dream. And fast forward 12 years, I still think the same thing about it. I think MMA is fun until you get hit really hard and it really sucks. And then jiu-jitsu is wonderful because you don't get hit at all. Albeit you lose sometimes, but Tell you what, getting tapped to something that's uncomfortable is much better than getting hit really hard and having to carry on. Albeit the
Definitely,
true
definitely.
fighting words as it might have sounded like, but a bit more honest, to be honest.
It does make a lot of sense. You can go to work the next day normally as well. So it's like,
Yeah,
as,
it's privilege, you know. It's not a
as,
case of
as,
like, oh, I've got a grin and bear it. It's no, no, I'm all right. It's a bit sore, a couple of bruises maybe.
can you remember those first lessons though? Because obviously you had you had your knowledge from the video game. Can you remember that first lesson? It's like, yeah, it's not quite like the video game, or
Well, I
those first
disagree.
few
It was
times.
exactly like the video game.
Oh,
I hit two submissions I learned from video games. But my first lesson, which is crazy foreshadowing, was a leg lock from X guard, albeit of all things. X guard sweeping to a knee bar. I remember that very clearly. I still use it today. And the submissions I used in my first couple of weeks of sessions, I hit a straight ankle lock. 'Cause I saw Brock Lesnar do it on WWE Here Comes the Pain 2006. And I hit a triangle because I learned that on whatever game it was because it was one arm in, one arm out, and just squeeze. And again, 12 years on, we're still doing the same thing. It still works. There's more details than that, more nuances, but the gist of it still doesn't change.
so video games helped a lot. Ah, that's really cool.
It's
I've never heard
exposure,
it
I
that
think.
way
I think
around
it's really
before.
just like
So,
the
that's a good way,
exposure
mate.
and sort of awareness, I think, of just like what's going on, really.
But when you're actually on the mat, though, were there any? So, okay, you're hitting these things that you learned from the video games. Were there any other bits though that you thought, oh, I wasn't expecting that, or I wasn't expecting this, or anything like that at all? Or were you just going on there with your cheat code and just smashing your way through?
Yeah, just button mashing, hoping for the best. Yeah, a lot of it was just the cardio and the discomfort. So, like, the pressure when someone's on top of you in certain positions, a half guard, side control, north, south, whatever it may be, and just being stuck, but actually stuck. Not like, oh, if I try this, that, and the other, I'll get out. Was clean, perfect technique. And it's a claustrophobia kind of thing. It was quite eye opening. But ultimately, it's just prevention is better than cure with a lot of these things. And I'm pretty sure that further down the line. If you're more switched on and don't make mistakes earlier on, you don't get caught in the worst spots. But again, those are nice, easy words when you're not on the mat right now, out of breath, 10 rounds deep. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
definitely. So, how did that journey continue then? So, you've got your first sort of your first few weeks, and you know your video game knowledge and what you've been taught is clearly sinking in and it's working for you. You've got the discomforts, as you say, that you just mentioned. But as this journey's continued, when was that moment maybe where you're like, yeah, okay, I get this, I like this, this is for me, and then you start sort of building from there, rather than it's just something I'm doing a couple of times a week to sort of stay fit or whatever it was. When did it become a bit more of a sort of a passion for you?
Very good point, because realistically, I don't tend to have miscellaneous hobbies. I tend to have obsessions. I don't know if it's ADHD, don't know if it's just hyperfixation or what it might be, but when if I start doing something, I get some bit of dopamine and enjoyment from. I'm very much like this is my life now for the next X amount of time. And with this in particular, where I started seeing progression, I started having like a community sort of thing. Initially, it was just friends hanging out and something to do and something to keep me active. It was all geared towards having an MMA fight initially, but just didn't want to do the MMA too much because it hurt. And yeah, initially, my as it transitioned with my coach leaving to go back home to his country, having to find a new coach, having to change gyms, all the rest of the transitions. My consistency to the sport, albeit not to the same place, was where my passion really came from. Was just the perseverance and the determination. It's because I went through quite a few gyms just based on availability, work schedules, and things like that. Not too rich being a general creonch, which I am still. I'll stand by that. I'm creonch through and through. And if you're one of the newer listeners who don't know what creonch is, basically it means you cross train. And in the old days, it was really frowned upon. But anyway, that's a bit of a history lesson no one wanted.
Yeah. I mean, some people would argue now still. I saw a thing the other day about like red flags for gyms and not being allowed to cross train and all that. So I think it's still out there somewhere where people might not like it. But to me, I think it's the more people you can get on with, the more things you're going to pick up and learn. Because yeah, it's just a bigger pool, isn't it? In iron sharpens iron and all that. So yeah, I don't see a problem with that at all. But that's good though. You said for yourself. You mentioned about like the ADHD and the hyperfixation thing. how has that helped you or hindered you in your BJJ progress? Because we've had different people on over times in different episodes and talked about how like the structure has helped them or the focus has helped them and helped them develop. And I mean, we've had I did an episode way back, I think it's about episode 10, where we looked at the benefits of ADHD and stuff. And a lot of people were saying about the structure of martial arts and that has been a big thing for them and autism and things like that as well. And aspect of it, what's would you mind sharing a bit like of your experience with that? Because it is something that comes up, and I think a lot of people and a lot of parents with kids in those situations are reading about these things. So it'd be nice just to get maybe a little bit of sort of first-hand knowledge from you, if you didn't mind sharing that.
Of course, no problem at all. So there's positives, there's negatives, and there's things you have to work through, and that's the real thing I want to make a key point of. Because with mental health and these different conditions and everything else, there's almost like an opt-out option with a lot of things. Whereas some things I feel you benefit more from pushing through, albeit discomfort and everything else. Obviously, there's a grey area, everyone's got their own versions of things. I'm not going to blanket my experiences as everyone's. But say I've got an encyclopedic knowledge of leg locks and various other positions and techniques through hyperfixation and just showing a real keen interest and putting time in. On the flip side, I hate classes because I get bored straight away and don't want to be there. If it's not something I particularly want to learn, or particularly like the way it's been taught, they miss the detail because they're just trying to cater all people and make it just a quicker, smoother lesson. I feel pissed off it's not been addressed, and very much like very particular about certain things. But then it will flip between, oh, I love this, that's what I want to do the rest of my life, to I never want to do this again. And that's just a fluctuation of emotions. That's like I've won my competition, or I lost my big match I cared about, or I've got bronze, I'm over the moon, or I got knocked out first round, I'm embarrassed, or whatever combination of things. So emotions like regulation, dopamine regulation is a tricky thing. So with dopamine regulation, for people who aren't aware of this, when you have ADHD and other like neurodiverse conditions, say your base is like eye level, your dopamine level as a neurodiverse person be down like by your mouth or by your chin or even lower. So that's why you fixate on things that are like going to give you a bit of a dopamine spike because it brings you back to level, if that makes sense. So if something's hard and slow and not instantly gratifying, it's not necessarily appealing, but that's what makes it more beneficial, more rewarding, because you've had to work through the discomfort, not getting the instant like joys and the instant reliefs. Especially as you get through the grades and become a higher belt, you have less XP essentially. I only play like an old game or like Call of Duty or whatever. The early levels you rank up really quickly because you've got less XP to gain to get to the next level. Whereas the bar gets bigger the higher up you get because you've learned so much. There's still loads more to go, but the margins for growth are so much smaller. Does that make sense? So,
Definitely.
so what's happening over time is you're having to persevere more and push further through more things when you're not as necessarily engaged as well. So what I've done recently is taken a break from jiu-jitsu altogether, just because I was doing it for the wrong reasons. And through things I've addressed, that I'm doing it for validation, doing it for recognition, all the rest of it. When realistically, this was a miscellaneous sport in my world. It's something I didn't even know existed. I did for fun with my friends on Saturday morning. That was it. It wasn't my life's goal. It wasn't something I set everything out to. But the last 12 years is a different story. I put a lot of time into it, traveled all around the country to compete. And trained with some world-class people and a lot of amazing people in themselves. But back to the question at hand, regardless of how mental health and ADHD specifically affects me and my jiu-jitsu, I think it is a blessing. You just need to manage the tougher parts where it comes. But to anyone who's managing their ADHD and jiu-jitsu, is to find these sort of, how do I explain them? Blocks. Blocks is what I was explaining. So you have a focus block and a recreational block. So when you have your time to fixate on something, say something's been taught, say you lose track after the second or third technique, just really prioritize the first one you learn. Really like iron out that. Get it just absolutely spot on as possible. Ask questions on it. Get it just ironed out. The additional stuff, not throw it away, but don't put pressure on it. And if you're rolling and you get overstimulated and everything else, just communicate that. Sometimes you need to push through that. Sometimes you need to build that strength, but if you're close to a panic attack, pushing through that's not going to help anyone. So it's just communication, really. Communication with your coach and training partners, not necessarily oversharing, but say like, "Oh, I need to round out if that's all right," or I'm going to push myself a bit further today. I'm going to do my best. Neither is wrong, but communicating it is the right thing to do, regardless. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's really good. So, what advice would you give? Imagine there are parents listening to this, and they've got children. Because again, this seems to be another thing at the moment. They've got kids, and they're reading about like this could help their kid or whatever. Do you think it's something you would advise parents to maybe try and take up to see how it goes, or well, not just jiu-jitsu, like a martial art or something in general, because it seems to be like a bit of a buzz thing at the moment that sort of you know not that martial arts is the cure, but it helps a lot if you get what I mean. And it's helping kids focus and learn. It seems to be something everyone's paying a lot of articles and attention on it. I mean, what advice would you say to a parent who's thinking about it?
So it's not a cure, it's treatment, I'd say. And regards to treatment, understand the purpose it's trying to serve. Your child going to jiu-jitsu at a young age isn't to teach them arm bars and back takes and all the good stuff. It's to teach them how to listen to authority. It's to teach them how to work in a team and also to behave themselves in an appropriate manner and also concentrate for a period of time. Those are the real traits, sort of things you'll notice, how they like make friends and socialize, those sort of things. Martial arts will teach you that because of the environment and the element of structure. It doesn't have to be so serious and militant. Some environments work better for different people. So I wouldn't say like anything's blanket or gospel, but I would say is just try things. But don't ever force someone to go to something they don't want to go. There's an element of it's Saturday morning, I'm tired, I don't want to go out. That's laziness. If they're fine and just can't be asked or don't want to, that's just a bit different. If they're absolutely kicking and screaming, they don't want to go. They'd rather do something else. When they're there, they're just not paying attention. They're just hating it, all sorts. It's finding that sweet spot, giving them the opportunity to try it if they want to do it, and if they don't force them. But being in the environment, say if you're a parent who trains and want to bring their kid along to give it a go, just get them to sit there with a tablet or watch if they want to. I saw a video on a guy bringing his son to an open mat. Not so much to get him make him the next like Rotolo brother, but to give him a sort of environment to be around where it's loads of hardworking individuals, it's healthy, it's combative, it's confrontational, it's all these like positive traits.
Yeah.
But it's not in your face. It's just being around it. It's osmosis by just building these good attributes. So I'd say be in the environment, be open, be honest, and just create opportunities. Don't create demands, I'd say.
I like that. Opportunities, not demands. No, wise words again, sir. Right. Going back to yourself then, you're developing now, you're moving up for the rounds, like you say, you've been on this long journey. When did competing come into it? You mentioned about traveling around to compete. Was it something you initially thought of, or was this something as your journey and as you're learning more and more? Are you thinking to yourself, I want to test myself in competition, or was it something that just sort of came up and you thought, yeah, I'll give it a go?
In the whole expression like gambling, it's like you don't chase a loss. My coach got us to do a competition like 3 months in maybe, just because there was one coming up he wanted to do. So I gave it a go and just froze, deer in the headlights, did terrible, lost both matches, and I thought, okay, I'll do better the next one. That was March 2015. We are in February 2026, and I'm doing the same thing, chasing losses. I'm trying to win, I'll lose one, win one. I'll win two. I'm the man. I lost three. Bollocks. And we're back to square one. We're just doing that on repeat pretty much, just mix and match. And obviously, like, it's not always the same, like, pick up from the last one, but it's just, I want to do better than the last one. I'm going to work on this new thing I'm working on, and all the rest of these different, like, attributes, things like that. But
So what's your view on competing there? Because some people just train, some people do train to compete, some people just have a go to see what happens, and then there's obviously the diehards who are just training to compete and going everywhere and just murdering everyone else in the bracket kind of thing. Should you compete? Do you think, or is it something that I kind of think maybe everyone should try it once just to get that experience. I'm not saying compete all the time, but I think you can learn. I mean, I was saying it to our kids on Saturday actually at the Grapple Challenge. Sometimes the 3 or 4 minutes you're on a mat in a competition, sometimes you can learn a lot more than you can in a month's lessons and that. And I was trying to win or lose. I've still got things now as probably you have where I can think back and go, oh, I wish I hadn't stuck my arm out then, or wish I hadn't overreached, or that's pretty much my issue. So if anyone's listening to this and you fight me, I will end up getting frustrated and just overreach, and then you'll get me. But but that's what I'm
Allegedly.
working on. but those sorts of things. Do you think people should do it, or if they're not comfortable, not do it? Or again, it's that pushing yourself thing, similar to what you're saying just now, I suppose.
I think with anything you want to do, you can just do it on the sake of you want to do it because you want to. But on the same vein, if you have a real like conflict of interest of like, should I do it? I don't really want to because of this, that, and the other. Just really iron out the reason why you want to in the first place. Is it you want to progress? Is it you want to get promoted? Is it you want to have fun? Is it you want to test yourself? Is it you want to win a medal that sits in your shoebox that you're never going to see again? Is it, I don't know, is it all these different reasons? And whatever they are, they're all valid, but what is your actual reason? And if it's like mine, where it was like, I'm doing it to try and like prove it to myself and everyone around me I'm actually the level I think I am. Is it to get promoted? Is it to get on big shows? Like, I want to be on Polaris, I want to be on Grapple Fest, I want to be on world stages, but I'm getting knocked out of local tournaments, so it's kind of irrelevant. It's not really happening. So I think, oh shit, I had a bad day then, I had a bad day then. It's not really a reflection. Because there's a thing by, I think it's Marcus or I think Aristotle, I'm not sure, either it's irrelevant, is we don't get value from the titles, we give value to the titles. So these whole things of I am good enough as a person because I've got gold in this local tournament against another 35-year-old dad of three or whatever who's just showed up because he got the weekend off work or whatever. It's not really like a reflection of me as a person. And I'm not any less of a person because I lost to Nicholas, what's his name, from Jed's gym on a super fight show in 20 seconds because he's just better than me at jiu-jitsu. I am my own person. And as long as you have confidence in yourself and the freedom in yourself to know that your results aren't a reflection of your value, you can happily just take these risks and take these chances and see how you get on. It's a bit of a deeper answer than I thought you'd ask in the first place, but
No, I like it.
for me, competition is a big part of my story and a big part of me as a person, and it's taken a lot for me to get to a point where I'm at now, where I just can, accept I'm actually all right as I am, and if I choose to compete, it's a bonus. If I don't, it's not a problem.
Excellent. So, how was your journey then, sort of as you've moved up through the ranks? Because obviously we talked a bit just now, sort of you starting at your white belt and going in with your video game knowledge, and then talked about you're developing this like knowledge of holds and submissions, whatever. How has that been as you sort of progressed up? What challenges have you faced? What maybe some things you thought might be challenges that weren't, and maybe some things you thought might be easy but became challenges? Because we've all had that. We think, yeah, I'm all right on that. And then when it gets to it, you're like, well, actually, that wasn't what I thought it was, or vice versa, things like that.
I'm going to say something that's so controversial, we could use it as a little thumbnail or whatever. Belts aren't real. Belts aren't real at all. And what I mean by that is when you get your next belt up, you don't just get this force field against lower belts who are trying to take your head off. And when you see higher belts, they're not untouchable and they're not, absolutely impervious to anything you try and use against them. And as long as you don't be disrespectful and do stupid, dangerous things, you have a fair chance. And I never thought that. I thought, oh, no, they're a black belt. Oh, no, he's only a white belt or whatever. And you just underestimate or overestimate people and you don't end up doing very well. Whereas if you just go in with confidence and apply your game as confidently as you can, you have a good chance. So what I mean by that is when I got promoted to my blue belt, I thought, oh, white belts, I've got like this bit of I don't know what it is, this bit of fabric around my waist. It's going to make sure I'm better than everyone. I won't get beaten up by them or whatever. And I'll tell you a secret now. I've been tapped by many a white belt, even as a purple belt. I know, sacrilege. No one would ever admit that. But I've also submitted higher belts. And it's not like a reflection of anything. It just means don't put value in these things that beyond what they are. What a belt is, to me at least, is a reflection of your efforts in the sport and your own personal journey. Your ability as well is relevant to yourself. And ultimately, if you're a hoist grace, you're a day one trial guy, if you've got base somewhere, if you've got tap somewhere, you've got to do it. Like, if I push you, you've got to step, otherwise you fall over. Like, this is the laws of nature, it's not belt magic. And regardless of things that change, is my learning approach, I think. So the typical, like, here's a technique, drill it, drill it, drill it, drill it, drill it. Okay, do it in sparring, okay, I'm good, done. I created a whole online coaching jiu-jitsu system based on different principles about building skill from scratch and understanding how to like develop different areas of I don't know drilling and I don't know just a range of factors and setups in order to not just create environments that are more conducive to developing skills in the usual rinse and repeat. Here's a technique with no resistance, and then just train. Sorry, I was
Excellent.
long
That's good.
beyond covering the basics.
That's good. I was going to get onto that. So is this part of the alignment performance that you do?
It is, yeah. So with alignment performance, what it is essentially is online coaching for jiu-jitsu in a sense of you could come to me with any background, any skill set, and we'd agree on whatever skill set you want to build, whether it's developing your strength into an even stronger strength or building a weakness up. And I'd give you a set of online tasks, studying notes, and other bits and bobs and habits to build that you can reinforce that development. And it's not anything like, okay, you sit in your bed and do 1,000 triangles. There's nothing nonsense like that. It's essentially here's an instructional to sort of take notes from. Here's a technique to practice, and here's a technique to apply in sparring. And then on top of that is essentially like advice and pointers as you go, along with feedback systems to make sure you're sticking with it, addressing what issues aren't working for you, and also giving yourself praise when it's going well. Because people don't tend to do that. They tend to say, oh, I didn't do this very well, I wasn't very good because of X, Y, and Z. Or in actual fact, if you give yourself a bit of credit and a bit of praise and a bit of encouragement, like if you're at a competition and you're rolling with someone and you hear everyone saying, boo, boo, oh, you're not doing well, oh, Brett, oh, where's your guard? What's going on? Da, 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 da. You think, oh, you feel defeated, you feel low, you feel negative, you don't feel encouraged. Whereas you feel G'd up, people are cheering, come on, mate, oh, he chases back, go, 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 this, that, and the other. You just go mental. Yeah. You think, oh my God, you just feel so like over the moon. You feel like you're just going to go full ADCC and just, rip your shirt open and say, like, I say afterwards or whatever. I don't know what people say when they win. Anyway, the encouragement is what people miss, I think. There's an element of things that if you start building a bit of like self-love and self-praise, you get a lot more results, I think.
No, I like that. I like that. So if anyone, I'll put the link in the show notes, obviously. But so if anyone wanted to approach alignment performance, then I'm thinking of an example now. Let's say, I don't know. I'm always,
my example.
yeah. I was going to say, I'm always stuck in guard. For instance, what would you do? Don't give it all away, obviously, because you got a business to run. But what would so if I'm contacting you and going right alignment performance, please help. I just keep getting stuck in guard, for instance. How can you help me?
Cool. So what we do, we'd address it in like a call like this, similarly, to explain a bit more context what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
But programming wise, I do it in a four-pronged approach normally. So we do worst case scenario being you're in the guard, how to open, how to escape, how to stand, how to deal with variables. A preemptive one, how to not get put in closed guard in the first place. A third sort of variable option, which is the open guards and how to deal with like breaking grips and things like that. And then dealing with being in guard so you're aware of more options. So it's more just different layers of the same situation, just understanding the options and the possibilities.
That's good.
But a big thing for me is similarities. So as much as that sounds like a mouthful, dealing with the common themes and the common denominators that make it work. What grips do they have? What's your posture looking like? And do you have base? and how do you manage these things, and how do you make that effective? It's like a little checklist as you're rolling. And then on top of that, what we'd have is in the feedback systems, you do like a reviewing of your sessions, but you also do like a score of your competency. So how do I feel getting out of guard right now? How do I feel in a week's time getting out of guard, and so on and so forth? There's like a little tick list.
Okay, yeah.
So you can just give yourself your own, okay, I'm actually feeling better than I thought I was. I've had a bad session. Actually, no, I've done better than I thought I did. I'm actually doing all right. Actually, no, I'm struggling with this element of this. But it makes it more specific. Because the reason I started this and do it the way I do it is purely because if I teach you an armbar in the session and you try your armbar, it's great, you did it, no problem. But you got caught on the back with a rear naked choke. So now you've gone from being an armbar specialist to a rear naked choke defense specialist. And all the time you're putting into developing one element of your skill is now being spread across two areas. Which, don't get me wrong, you can't be one dimensional in a sport, but if you want to build skill in a certain element, you need to put time and focus into it. It's like in the gym, if you want to build muscle in your arm and you start doing squats, you're not going to get very far. Still beneficial, but not to the same element of your goal. Make sense?
Totally. No, that's really good. So with the coaching side of it, then obviously we've got the alignment performance. You're also an assistant coach as well with the Vespasian Security BJJ. When did coaching become a thing for you? Was it something that you just naturally moved into, or was it like you were talking earlier on as well about, like in sometimes when you're in sessions and they were explaining something, you sort of had frustrations if it wasn't quite how you wanted it to be or what to do. What was it that drew you to the coaching side of it? Because obviously some people just compete and aren't worried about coaching. Some people move across into it. What was it that sort of pulled you across?
So there's a few sides to it. One of it is I've always wanted to help people regardless, in any way, shape, or form. So if I see you struggling with the technique I can do, even if I can't do it amazingly, I'd still see where you're going wrong and try and help you out as sincerely as possible. I'm not trying to patronise anyone, but just trying to be like, oh, maybe try it this way, maybe try it this way. Oh, so if we do it together, this, that, and the other, you know what I mean? Trying to make it work and understand what's going on. And alternatively, and very selfishly, the same reason I started the podcast, same reason I do a lot of things, I didn't like the things that were offered. I wanted to do my own way because I like that way. Very, very simply.
So that's
I'm
where
not,
this came from. It's
you know
100%.
what I mean? It's like, I like a podcast because I like the guests, I like this format. I don't like those questions though. I'll change that. I'll change it. Ah, fuck, I'll do my own one.
That's definitely that's good. So what is it then? So you sort of progressing as a coach. What is it? Do you have a certain syllabus? Do you have what's driving you forward as a coach? If I'm a new student or someone who's been practicing anywhere else, I mean, you've already given a good idea of how you coach anyway, to be honest. But what would it be if I came to your class? What would I get that maybe I'm not getting in other places?
Attention, perspectives, and context. So, the problem I've found a lot of the time throughout my own training is I wouldn't quite get it, and if it was explained to me in a certain way, I wouldn't quite appreciate it. Whereas one thing I pride myself on, one of my biggest skills as a coach, is my ways of breaking things down in different ways to make sure people can understand it in their own way. So I'd restructure things, rephrase things, give different analogies or whatever it may be to make it as understandable as possible and comprehensive in different ways. So you'd feel understood, you'd feel heard, and you'd also feel guided in different ways.
Mhm.
So on top of that, it'd be like, say you came to learn a certain technique or whatever. I'd also, especially if you were newer, I'd do my best to give you a bit extra attention and try and show you like additional techniques for the same position, a bit more options, a bit more passion, a bit more wow and enthusiasm to sort of see like, not only do we love this sport, there's also so much more to it as well where we're at, what we're doing. Because enthusiasm and passion is something that's so invaluable and interchangeable that if a coach has genuine passion and genuine enthusiasm, it's worth more than any medal is, I think.
Excellent. So, what is next for you then? So, you're moving up rank. You've got your coaching. You've got the alignment performance online. You've got your fisticuffs podcast sort of around as well. What are there anything left on like the bucket list or on the like target list or the mountain to climb or whatever? What else is driving you nowadays?
Nothing drives me other than my own feet, so it's discipline, not motivation. That's how I'm going to say that because, regardless of getting out of bed to do jiu-jitsu related things or most things, it's like, no, I'm very neutral as a person normally. So when it comes to doing things, I'm very much just get out of bed, get on with it, get it done, and then enjoy it afterwards. So, regards to a jiu-jitsu point of view, what gets me motivated is just the love of the game. Love of the game. Whereas it's not chasing my next belt, it's not doing the next seminar, it's not winning the next medal. It's literally just going to the gym at some point, either going to my usual gym, seeing my friends, or making some new friends at new gym. And that's simple as that. Bread and butter. Just this sport has got a wonderful community, and the environment can be so wonderful, and people in it are fantastic. And if you can appreciate them, you get the most out of it. Everything else is a bonus, I think.
Excellent. I like. So have you got any other things coming up though that you know that you're going to be involved in?
Yes, I'm looking at doing more charity seminars. So, of course, over the course of last year, I did about 5 or 6 seminars for the charity Mind, mental health charity Mind. Because where I've been doing leg locks specifically for the last 5 years, on top of the 12 years of training I've been doing, I've sort of developed a bit of a system, and I've been expanding that as I've been learning more and more. And what I've been doing is going to gyms, and they've been hosting me for seminars, and yeah, all the proceeds and profits have been going to Mind. I've done one in Hereford and one in a few gyms back home. I'm set to do a few more in the new year, in the next few months. Sorry, and yeah, I was looking forward to just doing more of that and spreading more awareness of mental health and more support as well. Because the big thing for me with that whole seminar sort of period is to raise awareness for support and open some doors for conversations. Because ultimately, if you're struggling, a lot of people just get on with it and they don't seem to benefit or from any support. So when I say getting on with it, I don't mean that reluctantly and begrudgingly as, oh, just get on with it. I mean, as in they just live miserably and they don't develop and don't relieve it. So to be able to open up some conversations for support that's available and also just take the weight off some people's shoulders, I mean, that's invaluable, really.
Definitely, definitely. So have you got any seminars booked in coming up that people might be able to go to?
Nothing confirmed as yet this year. As I say, I'm going to do some more promotion for that in the next coming weeks. There's a few gyms I'm in talks with, but I'm not going to say anything publicly just yet till it's confirmed in case they change their mind or feel pressured to or whatever combination.
No, fair enough. So if anyone, I'll say your contact details will be in the show notes and that as well, like your Instagram. And that. But if anyone's listening to this and they fancy booking you for a seminar, would that be the best way to get hold of you?
Yeah, my Instagram is the best way to get hold of me, I think, because I'm always on that. So.
Excellent.
Yeah, definitely.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. So what else then moving forward for you? What, you know, in the next sort of year or so, have you got any other things like that or anything else that you are looking forward to doing? Or is it just carrying on developing that as you were saying?
Um, is my investment in people, I think, to be honest, regards of my own goals and development and things like that. As much as I would like to give you some, I'm going to Disneyland and I'm going to win Polaris, I'm going to do all these different things.
Yeah.
It's very much like I went to the gym last night, first time in ages, loved it. And when I was tired in one of the rounds, one of my friends came up to me and asked me to show him some leg lock stuff. And he said, "Cheers, mate." And that interaction was so perfect. It wasn't a big ordeal. It wasn't a big song and dance. It was just, "Oh, Dan, would you mind helping me with something?" And I was happy to do it, and he appreciated it, and that was that. And those interactions and those just helping people, just big or small, was just so much more rewarding, I think. But I'll do Naga, I'll do a few other comps and just see how I get on. But ultimately, I'm just happy just to be doing what I'm doing and just giving where I can and keep the wheels rolling, really.
No, definitely no. So as I say, I'll have all the details in the show notes and everything for all the things we've talked about. I mean, is there anything else that you wanted to sort of mention or get in at all?
I love Jay Barker. For anyone who is listening, if you aren't aware of that, she is my rock, and she's the reason I still train and has, you know, been an absolute inspiration day in day out. So in case anyone who knows me didn't already know that, and it doesn't get sick of me already saying it. The reason I'm making the point of it, especially here, is my training has been not as disciplined as samurai I make myself out to be, because I'm quite a lazy person at times. Whereas Jade has been, very disciplined, very routine based, and when it comes to me being lazy and taking my foot off the gas, she's given me the good kick up the arse to keep going, and I owe a lot to her. Big up Vespasian, BJJ, best part of my Tuesdays, best part of my week, teaching you guys and helping, spread my jiu-jitsu knowledge where I can. And, my neurodiversity just oozing out of just awkwardness and shit jokes. And yeah, life's good. Everything is really good. And I'm just really grateful, to be honest. So, no. I think...
That's brilliant. Well, just again, thank you for taking the time to join us on this week's episode. I've learned a lot from this, and I'll be having a look at the alignment performance as well.
No, thank you so much, mate. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Dan, for joining us this week. Everything we discussed with Dan, you can find in the show notes at thegrapplerride.com. All his links and everything are there, as well as all the information on our past episodes and all the show notes of that, as well as all of our social media and links and that, so you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and all the other ones that are out there. As I say though, this week's episode is now drawing to a close. TheGrapplerRide.com is our mothership, as discussed. You can find everything about us right there. Please remember that new episodes drop every Thursday at 7 a.m. UK time, and you can watch that on YouTube, or you can listen to those on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, and all the podcast apps that are out there. We are available on. Any ratings and reviews and shares and likes and follows and all that stuff is really, really appreciated and helps us spread the gospel of grappling globally. We will see you next week. I've been your host, Brett Summers, and stay safe and stay on the mats.